I've been following on C-SPAN the congressional deliberations over the $2,000 stimulus check prospects. And I used to like watching C-SPAN. I enjoy it because I get to see how our elected officials conduct themselves among each other, what kinds of arguments they make, especially when it's clear that they are going off script. That's a very interesting space for me to make observations. And it's been something really struck me today. So for context, C-SPAN is the nonprofit entity that streams live and unedited coverage of the House of Representatives, of the Senate, of the hearings that they have, their different committees, and other government stuff that goes on. It's just like a camera in the room looking at the people who are talking, and that's what you see. You don't see commentary that cuts apart any of that content. You get all of that content, and then you get a summary of what's going on, like at the end of each session, and when people are just taking a break in the middle of their session. So today is the second day in the Senate where the Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, from Kentucky, he's a Republican. The Republicans have the majority in the Senate right now. They have for like 6 years now. So I think that's right. So the second day today where Majority Leader McConnell has been trying to get the Senate to take a vote on overriding the president's veto on the National Defense Authorization Act, which is basically a funding directions for the military. Without it, there's a lot of things that the military does that, one, maybe won't get money, or two, will get like delayed. That's blunt. That's very blunt. I don't know too much about it. It's military funding. And what the Democrats in the Senate have been doing is delaying the vote. Basically making sure that the Senate follows its parliamentary procedure. So you could say delaying, but or you could reframe it as not letting McConnell accelerate the vote. But the way the Senate runs, the way the intention for this veto override vote has been, they called a special session for these senators to come in and make this vote. So they're drawing out the process. Senate Democrats, in this instance led by Bernie Sanders of Vermont, not out of opposition to the National Defense Authorization Act. It's worth noting Bernie didn't vote for it. He's got his opposition to it, but he's not opposing the vote for it. Hold the vote. You watch him, he's like, that's a great idea. Whenever someone brings up something, they want to package things that have nothing to do with each other into the same bill. For political reasons. And Bernie's like, look, that's a great idea. Let's vote on it. But don't stuff it into this bill. Like, let's vote on these things individually. You watch it. It's just, it's funny in a kind of sadly amusing way that's the way our democratic republic works in Congress. So they're delaying that vote, the Senate Democrats, because they just want to bring to a vote in the Senate what has already passed through the House, which is a bill that would raise the current round of stimulus checks from $600 to $2,000 per adult. So they're just calling for a vote. They just want the Senate to vote on it. There's a lot of political pressure then if you actually hold the vote, because then you're accountable for, well, yes, I voted yes for it, or I voted no for it. And because there's a lot of public support right now for that increase, to go forward and actually hold the vote then is going to leave every Republican who votes against it personally accountable to their constituents. Where right now it's kind of this amorphous Republican blob, and certainly Mitch McConnell, who can be held accountable in saying that they were not permitting the vote. They're shutting it down. So they just want to vote. And I support that. Let's hold the vote. You want to vote for? You want to vote against? Okay, but hold the vote. There's some other context around there we could get into, but what struck me as I was watching some of the deliberation, debates, asides, and commentary, the senator from Illinois, Duck Durbin, was talking about the opportunity that this bill presents in bringing much needed help to Americans in this pandemic crisis, which is also consequently an economic crisis. And what was really striking is how he was presenting it in this way where, like, we just gotta do this. Like, it's, come on, guys, let's come together and just do the thing that's good for the people. And that there's such a drama around cutting $2,000 checks for people. It's worth considering for a moment that the bill, that stimulus would cost $2,000. They're already doing $600, so it's already costing a portion of this number. But the $2,000 would cost around $500 billion. That's a lot of money. We could go and we could talk about, well, what's the actual value of ensuring that our economy continues to be stimulated and that we don't slide back into a deeper recession or depression. So whatever we need to do to continue to stimulate and support the people, there's both economic stimulus, but there's also the kind of social, emotional, civic stimulus that says, we're in this together, we're here for each other. Our government saying, we're here for you. Faith in these institutions, public faith in these institutions is important. But it's also important to hold our leaders accountable. And this is the space where I want to go. And what troubled me was we're here in this year of just social and technological plenty. By year, I mean age. 2020 and 2021, this pandemic phase is quite awful. And that in the US, yesterday, or a couple days ago, the last count I saw was 330,000 people dead from this virus. Is absolutely horrific, and our government has done a terrible job at mitigating this crisis, and so much of that fault lies with the executive branch, lies with the Trump administration. Gross negligence and mismanagement. But where we're at as people, stepping back to view kind of, okay, well, let's look at where we are in the, maybe the decade kind of sense. And we got a lot going on that is amazing, that's never before seen. And a lot of trends that are so very encouraging. There's so much more to be done, especially in honoring each other as equal human beings and recognizing that we are all cut from the same cloth and that dignity is not something that is a prize to be won. It's something that should be afforded to everyone. It's not something that you can hold and deal out at your leisure. We've really been confronted this year with racial justice and a lot of reckonings as a people that we have yet to make, and then to put our money where our mouth is in recognizing these centuries of social and economic and moral disenfranchisement that's been cast upon so many people groups, Black and Indigenous, people of color, immigrants of all stripes. This century that looks like our brothers and sisters from Central and South America. We're standing in a place where it's like a wide open field to move forward and to greet each other in a way where we can reconcile and we can come to discover, well, what does love actually look like when it's something brought to life on the scale of community, on the scale of society. Black Forest gummy bears. They've got, I'm telling you, some of the best, but not the organic ones. The regular, conventional gummy bears. I love them because their texture. They got just the right gummy resistancy. Their flavors are just splashes of delicious juice, but not the juice-filled ones. I don't go for those. I don't like those. I like the solid gummy. And the food coloring is like beet juice and other natural color sources. I appreciate that. And of course, it's sugar. You know, you're just eating a bear-shaped piece of sugar. But they're one of my weaknesses right here. And I try them. When I see new gummy bears, I try them out. These guys, they've done really good work. Black Forest. The package is like green and with a clear window on top. Yeah. Hard to find though, the ones that are not organic. So we got this wide open field in front of us of opportunity. And I see Senator Durbin up there talking about cutting checks for people in the middle of a crisis as if that's like a holy grail. And I think that stimulus is important. I think it's relevant. I think it's helpful. But why in this nation of plenty is it necessary? Why is economic inequality growing lately. Where is the imagination of our Congress? Why aren't we churning out left and right novel programs that are building up the American people, that are opening our doors to welcome co-creation from the world so that we can actually benefit from the social, creative, intellectual capital that's beyond our borders, creating opportunity for others as well as our nation, ourselves. Pushing conversations that speak of creativity in broadening the boundaries of what is possible. It's like we're stuck on some kind of repeat record, despite the fact that time goes on and that people grow and that ideas are born every second, and that in order to grow something, you got to nurture it, you got to incubate it, you got to water that seed, you got to water and tend to that garden. And if you want more crops, if you want more vegetables, or if you want to try out a new kind of vegetable that we haven't known yet, but that might be a superfood and be of great nutritional density and help to what's going on with our food situation, you need to build another garden so you can plant this stuff, because all the space is taken up because you're already growing all this over here. But it's like we are afraid to see what a creative growth driven future looks like. Instead, we want to grow by just manipulating what's already been created. And so then we get all these financial services that just manipulate money. What if we invested that same amount of intention and energy into markets for creative ideas, and actually listening to the interests and the business propositions from the people who live miles outside of downtown, not from the people in downtown. Them too. It's clear they have a platform, but how about the people on the outskirts, the people in the country, the people on the south side, the west side? Suburbs can come to. Small town America must be there. I was raised there. know the heart and soul and opportunity. I know the dreams. There's a lot that we have to work through together, and a lot of uncomfortable space that we got to move through. But for the sake of getting to this future of an American soil rich with creative nutrients, rich with love, rich with reconciliation across cultural, racial, economic, social divides. Whatever it takes to get there is worth it. And it takes a kind of revolutionary leadership from the bottom up, but that includes all the way up. And so when I look at the kind of conversations that are going on in our houses of representation, national level, state level, local level, and I see this kind of exchange that's just got like this kind of glass ceiling of imagination where, oh, well, we can't go above there. We can't even process above there is what it sounds like. It's like not even an option to think beyond the box. Well, then, of course, we're going to stay in this box until something radical happens. Well, let's actually get to that radical future safely, securely, by design. And so to do that, well, we need to get intentionally radical today and work together. What does that look like? You got to be willing to challenge the status quo. We can start there. You got to be willing to dream and honor, listen to the dreams of others, and weave dreams together into then, okay, there's a tapestry of opportunity. There's something beautiful there. I'm very interested to see what that looks like. It's happening. We ought to be part of it. So here is to that emerging future. Much love to all of you. Despite any disagreements we may have, still my love to you. And let's hear each other out. And let's get radical.